be a short one. I might come back later. Might do a surprise one on Instagram, just for the fans. Whoever. Although the numbers on Instagram are fairly high of people watching all the old lives, and it's like, why aren't you here?
Well, they have to subscribe to watch, right?
No, after it's done.
Yeah, right.
It's done. It's live. It's after the live is done, everyone can watch it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
People are lazy. People, unless of course you're, I don't know, super famous and people can get. I don't understand what it is about fame and people. I don't understand what,
Everybody wants to be famous.
Yeah, but it's not just that. The relationship people have with famous people, how people think that they become, like, I know I do have a go at a lot of famous people, and especially women, because males. But if you want me to, I can really start on Brad Pitt. I have never been a fan of Brad Pitt for a while in between because of Angelina Jolie. I was like, all right, maybe this twerp's got something underneath his vacuous, vapid, whatever he is. I'm not a fan. Ever since I saw him in Thelma and Louise, I was like, gag me. I just, and whoever Gina Davis's character was, Thelma, Louise, damn it, Gina, I love Gina. So Gina and Susan Sarandon, though, yeah, I love them. Anyway, look, we've got other topics to talk about. I guess because keeping with how I do things around these parts, how we do these things, I guess I should say that. Yesterday was a very difficult day for me. Seems we're all having an up and down. And of course, I'm still on my healing trajectory, being an ex-traumatized person. Trauma, once it damages the brain, I feel it doesn't actually leave. Oh, well, yes, it does. The festering wound that is the unresolved trauma. Yes, that abates, that heals, that goes away, but the scars of those wounds stay, and the scars have, they have phantom pain of their own, So let me just go through some of these topics I've got here. Because when I think of something, or when Dwayne and I are talking about something, I'm like, wait, I'll write this down so that I can talk I can talk here about it. And I had started saying, it is the people around you that change you. And that was, I was talking about that on yesterday's Daily Egg, about how people around you change. And so all of a sudden, your idea of yourself changes because people around you change. People then all of a sudden love you or hate you. And I had that before fame. So look, I don't know. Maybe some of us are just meant to be. I don't know. I was talking with a friend who I have been very, very open with about my state of mind, etc. And she cites another friend, a mutual friend that she doesn't realize was a friend I have financially supported for most of this. And it's like, wow, so this mutual friend never talked about me as I'm feeling a bit like, wow, there's a lot of people in this world who are hustlers. And there's a lot of people who manipulate other people into, I know a lot of women like this. I'm still talking about misogynists. Look, I read something yesterday, which was I'm going all over the place and being a bit cryptic, but I find it funny that this mutual friend is seen by everyone as this great, wise person and psychic, and it's like, well, I was there during all of these times, and Yeah, no. There's no psychic ability, only an ability to read people and interpret and manipulate, really. But anyway, now I'm being a churlish twat. So let me go back to what I'm saying, people around you that change you. Yeah. Famous people, this is what happens to famous people. This is why they lose touch with reality, because everyone else, it benefits everyone else around the famous person to keep them out of touch with reality. It keeps everyone in jobs. And this leads me to this. PR is so good. Public relations is so good. It has convinced itself of its own importance. And what is public relations anyway? What does anyone know about public relations? I speak as a publicist, and I got to tell you, I would advise my clients not to do anything I'm doing. Like, don't be this transparent. It's not for the weak-minded and faint-hearted, or faint-minded and weak-hearted. This sort of transparency requires a real solid sense of core. Well, that's a reminder for myself. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh well. Good. Just healed myself a little bit. Yay!
I've asked you that. If you were your own publicist, you just helped yourself right now.
As my own publicist, I am saying to myself constantly, Sandhya, please shut up. Please. And I have seen it, unfortunately. I have seen the results of my transparency and honesty and sorry, this wasn't the right timing. Honesty is all you can do. But I was going to say authenticity. I can't even say the word. There's a price to be paid, so even your authenticity has to be kind of designed, like, strategy has to be around your authenticity. That's called public relations. And as a publicist, I would say to you, right, okay, so you want to tell everyone everything, right? Okay, let me just tell you this now. Telling everyone everything will have you being seen as fragile and difficult. And then as someone who wants to just not hold back and be absolutely truthful and transparent, well, you're going to be seen as a loose cannon. So I do advise you, dear client, not to be as transparent as this. People will not like you. The other thing is, happiness, maybe it's just a Euro-white thing, but actually people don't like to see happy women. And now we've said this, and this was, I wrote this for yesterday's Daily Egg caption, darling. Because I was reading an article about Anne Hathaway, and she's in this movie and playing her, she's a 41-year-old in real life, so she's playing a 41-year-old in this movie, and she has a relationship with a really young guy, like a guy 15 years younger than her. And, she's, all of a sudden it's this middle-aged woman, like, excuse me, it's Anne Hathaway. She's never, like, why do they try and convince us that these average, that these gorgeous stars, anyway, but it's Anne Hathaway and she can do no wrong. I love her. So she plays this woman who, she's just an ordinary, and she is in a relationship with a superstar, and then everyone starts hating her. And it's because she's really happy. They have, and all of a sudden, being a middle-aged woman, her sexuality has come back, etc., etc. And look, I have to say that I know a lot about this particular storyline in that regard, because I too am an older woman who found herself again through being loved and being seen and being heard and being seen for myself and loved for me, respected most of all, first and foremost. For the first time in 50 years, I didn't feel alone. And I'm so happy And you know, I think a lot of people have begrudged me this. I am someone who is considered polarizing anyway. And I don't know what that means really. It just means that you're polarized. I'm not polarizing. You're polarized. Or by that it means actually, no, because the people who like me, and that's what polarizing is, right? Two things. The people who like me aren't polarized either. They just like me. So if you're polarized, it's because there's something going on with you. Now, it's easy enough for me to say that because I look at people like this, some superstars, you know, Victoria Beckham and Jennifer Aniston, and I feel like, oh, well, there's a lot of polarizing people. Angelina Jolie is very polarizing, but she's not as polarizing. Jennifer Aniston is not as polarizing as Angelina Jolie. There is one significant reason why. Angelina Jolie is drop dead gorgeous. Jennifer Aniston is attractive. She may be a big star, and she's a squillionaire who continues to do all these ads. Calm down. We had done a podcast episode about this. Why is Jennifer Aniston? Why?
Yeah.
And I haven't published that yet because it's a long one, and I feel I was a little bit harsh about that. Sure, she's Rachel, and so she benefits off being Rachel for her entire life. And she had that one perfect part, and sure, she's rewarded for it. If in that case, why not? Stephen Bradbury had his one perfect, actually two, because in the semifinals the same thing happened. Stephen Bradbury is an Australian Olympic skater, Winter Olympics, obviously. And I can't remember when this happened, but during that Olympics, he won the gold medal. And people, including myself, have said just by staying upright, no mean feat in an Olympic final. And this had already happened in the semi-final where, he did well. Anyway, What I'm saying is, so Stephen Bradbury hasn't perhaps gone on to do any greater things, but he did win
gold.
He did win gold on merit, I feel.
Yeah.
Right?
He's there for a reason.
He was there for a reason to stay standing.
Yeah.
And he stayed behind looking at all these people. And so he didn't stand out, but he stood up. He didn't stand out, but he stood up. He stayed standing. And I guess that's the Jennifer Anistons of this world. They don't stand out really. And if it wasn't for her millions and the fact that she was come on. Anyway, I see people, in suburbs. Anyway, it doesn't matter. My point is, what's my point? So I had that, I don't get, but why is she so rich? Why are these people so rich? What do they do with it?
Yeah.
What is it that they need all this money for? Anyway, but people don't, so I have gone a little bit away. I was talking about Anne Hathaway in this movie, and there's a line in this movie that her friend says, because after Anne Hathaway's character looks up, and she's gossip fodder, etc., because once you're a celebrity, that's it. People seem to think that they own you for gossip reasons. And her friend says, well, people don't like happy women. And that is true. And it equates right back to Anne Hathaway about 10 years ago, whenever she won her first Oscar. And Anne Hathaway is just a very earnest, just very lovely, look, I have always liked Anne Hathaway. I've never understood why people hated her. There's a term for it. It's called Hatha hate. People actually hated Anne Hathaway. And I never understood it. People hate Gwyneth Paltrow, and I understand it. But also, I look at Gwyneth and go, well, that's Gwyneth Paltrow. Why do you have to hate her for the fact she's so insular? She's just an entitled, insular, perfect ambassador for her kind. I think she's whatever. I don't, look to her as a role model or anything. Although the kind of money these people have is filthy. And I say that not begrudging anyone their money, except billionaires. Except if you're a billionaire. Because I just don't feel billionaires have a right to exist.
Well, they only exist because...
Because of us.
Yeah.
Because of us. Billionaires only exist because of cosmetics and technology.
And war.
Oh, and war. Let's not forget the prime reason why billionaires exist. Go back into your history books, friends, and go and see who the first billionaire was and when, 100 years ago now, and why. How. What's the point of having assets and bonds, etc., if they don't depreciate and then, escalate in value? Anyway, so the whole Jennifer Aniston thing for me is about this. Why is she so rich? And what do they do with this money? And it sounds so churlish. And understand this, I have been accused of being a Marxist socialist by some dickheads. And it's like, no, mate, I grew up privileged. I have, it's, not filthy rich like that, but I do know what people like me when we're rich, what we do. You don't hoard it. You try and make everybody else's life better. You go and shop, and you go and people look, the richer you are, I think the more greedy you get, because all of a sudden it's like, how much money can I accumulate? It's like once you get to like a debt or a loan, something, or a debt down to zero or whatever, it's like, I really don't want it. Or your credit cards, wiped. You just like, I don't want that anymore. Like, I just don't want that debt anymore. So maybe the other way, once you start accumulating money, that too is a truism. Once you start accumulating money, it feels nice. It feels really, really nice to see that. But when is it enough? And as to quote Gordon Gekko from 80s classic Wall Street, Gordon Gekko played by Michael Douglas, and this quote is often misquoted. It's always said as greed is good. But he actually says greed, for want of a better term, is good. Or word, something like, I'm misquoting it myself, but you've got to think in terms of greed, I guess, according to where you're earning the money. Oof, that sounds awful. I can't think that way either. And perhaps, because when we think of making money, we're thinking in terms of, well, we want to pay our bills, but we want to start getting our platforms, full of people. We want to start making money for other people. And people don't think that way. Greed is what they think. It's like, I want to start making money for myself,
Where does that come from, Who says this kind of thing?
The capitalist, patriarchal structures that
why are they
control us. Power and dick. As in, they don't have any, and money becomes money, and for a certain kind of patriarchal stalwart, usually Euro, usually old, badges of virility are money, status. Women, the younger the better, or walking penises. Anyway, but going back to, so I don't want to talk about. God, we all know about the patriarchy. You all suck. So thank you for being you. Oh my goodness me. But it's women who have the actual power. Women who give birth to these things. Women who've been having sex with the wrong guys. I'm not saying don't have sex. Have more sex and decide and think with your minds, Choose with your minds. Women, most of all, need trust, so we choose everything with our hearts. It's when the heart becomes cold, as that the wrong choices are made, or the heart becomes needy. But women need trust, most of all. Men need love. Males need love to become men. Women need trust. We need to feel complete and absolute trust. knowing that, and women who have trust are happy. And women, they say that a woman who has had really good sex is happy. That's because she has opened herself up and with trust. Women need trust before we open anything up. Even if it's a one-night stand, we need to feel something in the guy that makes us feel like, hey, we can trust this guy. That's what all that security and all that shit is about. That's why the guys with the material status quo stuff, because a woman who doesn't know herself thinks that the only thing that is going to make her feel secure is security like that. So these women who don't know themselves or don't allow themselves to grow into themselves, who say, oh, I'm good looking, I'm going to go and use that to, get my security, etc. They look for the guys with all this visual symbols of security. That person could be in debt themselves, but as long as they visually look like they've got all the goods, women just need trust. And that's what opens their legs for these insignificant guys. Anyway, I was talking about Jennifer Aniston. It's not so much about her, gosh. But these celebrities do become symbols for something. I was talking about that. And public relations. Public relations is responsible for why we see all of these people in the way we see them. And as I had started saying, do you know what public relations is? First rule of public relations, don't talk about public relations. It's a bit like Magic and Fight Club. Ugh, Brad Pitt, look like fucking... Anyway, I got a cough. I do have an issue with Brad Pitt. Okay, I'm going to quickly say this. Jonathan Majors. Again, not a good, perhaps, name to cite because Jonathan is in a lot of trouble. Turns out he's just a toxic male. But you know what? He's a black man in the state of America. A black man with presence. Not excusing the fact that he seems to be a violent man. And I hate that. I really hate that. But, and I feel like I'm about to make an excuse for something here. Like, oh, look, it's harder on a black man. Yeah, look, it is harder on a black man. It is harder on a black man. I'm going to talk about that movie on Netflix, Harder They Fall. Oh, Jonathan Majors was the star of it. Idris Elba, Regina King, a host of other incredible people. What an incredible movie. And that soundtrack we have had on repeat forever,
So good.
Jonathan Majors was truly a lead that the black people needed. After Chadwick, it's not fair Chadwick died. It's not fair. The superhero that people of multicultural needed to see, black people needed. Like, no offense, but why couldn't, and nothing against, the actors who play Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, but why did it have to happen to Black Panther? Why did it have to happen to, it's not fair. It's not fair. And I don't wish ill health upon anyone. Except those of you who have tried to sabotage me. Oh yeah. Anyway.
Well, it kind of forced a black female Black Panther.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it did. But the character of Shuri was always going to develop somehow. I mean, she was already a scientist and all sorts of things, which doesn't make sense. Like, the timeline doesn't make sense. Like, Shuri was like 0 when she started. Anyway, I'm a bit confused here. But I love Black Panther, and nothing can be said bad about these movies. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I have now seen quite a significant amount of the movies, again, because I was bored with all the whitewashed ones, but they're good movies. Thank you for, And America needs to listen to what they're actually producing, because State of America is telling you exactly how they are. They're also telling you that they'll fix it, but they can't because, they tried. Going back to Jonathan Majors. So he was You know, like he should have been a major star. He should have. But unfortunately, he's an assaulting asshole, so cancelled. Now tell me something. Why is Brad Pitt still around? Why is this aging, you know, nothing wrong with aging. I love aging. I absolutely believe in aging. Because is there a choice? I'm sorry. Are we living on planet Rebirth? What's going on here? We're planning, you know, we're not, none of us stops aging. Even if you do all sorts of bullshit to your surface, it's not going to stop you aging. And the more you do to your mind, the more you do to your surface, the more your mind ages. The more you youthify your surface, the more your mind goes. So this idiot, filth pig, you know, is an alcoholic, has drug problems, assaulted his then wife, the superstar Angelina Jolie, that he latched onto to gain. Look, I might have to go into a Brad Pitt special here. But why is Brad Pitt still around? He assaulted Angelina in their plane, their private plane, in front of their children, and then assaulted the children that he adopted that are Angelina's children. He has 3 blood children, flesh children from Angelina. I don't know why she did that. She should never have done that. They're beautiful, of course. But she's got 3 other children that she adopted, 2 from Cambodia, 1 from Nigeria, and they're beautiful children. But Angelina's their mother and their goddess, sorry, you know, and this fuckwit. But guess who's being maligned in Hollywood? Angelina. Guess who gets celebrated? This Brad leech. Brad the Pitts. What a leech. I could go on and on. Every single woman he has been with, he leeches off them. Think about, if you are a fan of Brad Pitt, think of him in his Jennifer Aniston days. Oh, like, you know, it's all just cool California guy, you know, long hair and stuff. With Angelina, he's Mr. Art, Mr. Serious and intense. Oh, let's not forget he was with a very, very, very young woman. And let's not forget also that he's had significant age differences. He's another one of those limp dicks who needs a walking penis, you know? I mean, it worked for me. For me, it was like, oh my God, Brad Pitt must have something different, you know, must have something inside that. Yeah, I don't like him. Public relations, my friends. Public relations. What's that? I don't know. How can I equate this to public relations? This actually is a dryer ball that my husband uses if he's got a knot somewhere, very rare. And so he massages, he presses himself against this thing and massages it. And it's really good. So I've tried it. It's like, great.
It's really good. Lie on it.
So how can we equate this to public relations? I don't know, I can't. I'm not feeling too witty today. But public relations, yes. This is what keeps all these people. Public relations is what? I have said before that with writing, etc., it's all in the edit. Not so much. I mean, it depends on how, you know, but publishers have the last say, editors have the last say on anything. Directors have the last say on how a movie is cut, because the better the director, they get to sit with the editors. Otherwise, the studio has the say. Everything is in the edit. Everything is in the public relations. Public relations is so good that they shut down propaganda as well as hype something up. And do you know any famous publicists other than, well, actually the most famous publicists in the world right now really should be Taylor Swift's publicist and Beyonce's publicist. Both are women. Of course, one's white and one's black. Publicity is an interesting thing. It's not advertising. It's something else. It's a bullshit job. It's really like I do it and I think, people don't quite understand, and also it comes down to budget. The bigger the budget you have, the more someone who is versed in the art of strategy and communication and how to put more attention somewhere else so that attention can be deflected off something else. It's all about strategy, and you have to be perhaps really good at something like chess, drafts, pente, you know?
Yeah.
Because you have to be in it for the long play. Public relations is all about the long play as well.
Yeah, which you're good at.
I'm good at, yes.
Drafts, pende.
Yes, you're good at drafts, right?
Well, I've played you.
Oh, it'll be interesting.
You. Yeah.
Let's play Pente tonight. Pente is not an ancient game, but it is based on an ancient game called Go. So we'll talk about that. And while we're doing that, we might as well we'll have a bit of a conversation about religion as well, because does anyone know where religion actually comes from? Do you know? I mean, I have shared things about why I know that religion was once meant to be a good guidance system. When we started getting more and more people. All of a sudden there was 1,000, 10,000, 1 million people in the world, and not everybody wanted to be governed by one set of principles, so different things came into being. So we'll perhaps have a Pente evening tonight.
Sounds good.
Just chill out after a very, very rough week. So yes, we'll talk about religion, like as to where it came from, because just the same thing. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are all Abrahamic religions and all come from the same thing. So Christianity came from Judaism, Islam came from Christianity. Hinduism is the oldest religion in the world. I think Vedic stuff was before that. Hinduism wasn't really a religion. People in India didn't call it that. Hindu is just a misheard thing of northern Indians who were Sindhu. Again, there's so much there. The history of the evolution of society, so not so much humanity, society is fascinating, and how it all just came out of Africa and then dispersed, and really everybody was black and various shades of brown. Because, as I have also said before, when we did finally stand up, when finally it became, and then Neanderthals happened, and then Homo erectus happened, when we did become the evolutionary process, the start of what we are now, you've got to understand, if you look at the underbelly of an animal that is covered in fur, it is colorless, pinkish, but colorless, pinkish because of the blood underneath, but it's colorless. So that's what happened when our fur fell off. All of a sudden it's like, ah! You know how vampires are? So in some ways that's where the vampire stories came from, because when we were animals, we were just biting raw into other animals to eat, to feed. But as we got civilized, all of a sudden lightning flashed on a bush that had a mammoth next to it, and and then it's like, fried mammoth. Nice. So I guess brain kickstart again, like, okay, lightning, flash, fire, boil, stuff like that,
Yeah.
And so cooked food is more palatable and easier to digest, blah, blah, blah. Who knows how it kickstarted. But anyway, religion, yeah. Wow. Okay, well, we can talk about all of that later. I might actually go on Instagram as well later to see what's happening and do a bit of a live there. I don't know. See how I feel. Because, well, we're done for today. It is time for the Daily Egg. That's us for today. We'll be back later on this evening. We should play Pente.
We should.
And we should talk about the history of Pente and games and strategy and public relations and religion. All that's connected and combined. Thank you very much for being here this morning. If you're not here this morning, if you're here this evening, this afternoon, tomorrow, whenever, thanks for being part of the Daily Egg. Bye.